Okay, 8, let's talk about what growing in the gospel looks like for you, spiritual growth. What we're really saying is, what does it mean to follow Christ? And we talked about Luke 9 before, about really what he's saying is to do that, you have to deny yourself. But in particular, we're not just rejecting ourselves, we're denying that motivation, that belief where we have to try to be like God, where we have to, as the last verse says over here, to save yourself. Rather, you're going to lose yourself, lose that belief system and those motivations in order for God to work, in order for God's power to be unleashed. And only then are you picking up your cross, and you're doing this on a daily, and you're following him. You're seeing it go little senses where you move counterintuitively, but you open yourself up for God and you see death turn into life. Sometimes small instances, sometimes in big seasonal or lifetime instances. So remember, the big statement for the 8 is I become lustful. And again, this is not just sexual lust. It's really about a lust for power. I become lustful when I'm living for my protection. But when I deny myself and live from his protection, I become a merciful force for God and others. Now let's break this down a little bit further. What we're talking about is you're driving down the road, metaphorically speaking, in your day, and all of a sudden you hear the rumble strip. You hear your car vibrating because you're getting off the path. Here, some indicators that you might be getting off the path God has for you is when you start seeing that you become more demanding, intimidating. It's not that it's that you're unaware of your intimidation. You're kind of aware of it now. And you're like, let's use this a little bit. Let's shake things up a little bit. You become overbearing or confrontational, just overly aggressive. Basically, you are got your foot on the gas and you are putting it on the floor. You are really driving hard. In these moments, what's happening is you're operating for your own protection to meet that need because you think it's all up to you, that I must be strong. Now you have to choose. Is that true or is God's? Are you stronger than God? And if God is stronger, is he all good and powerful? If he is, then it's possible. In fact, this is the gospel. It's not just possible, it's a reality that you operate from his protection. And when you do, all the gold comes out. You're still strong, but it's a spirit-infused strength. It's a peaceful strength. You're still direct, you're still assertive, you're protecting people, but all the soft sides comes out. Your compassion shows, And the key idea, doctrine, is simply that Christ is your strength. Now, there's a doctrine that goes a little bit further into this that we call Christus Victor. You get the idea of a victory. There's the boxer there. That you operate from the victory of Christ. Now, this is tapping into one of the attributes of God. The main one is God is powerful. And so it's showing this power. Christ's work is victorious over the evil forces in this world. This is the doctrine. Therefore, here's the application. We are transferred from evil's reign to his reign and given his power to bear good fruit, bear fruit of good works. So that last part is Colossians 1:13, actually the first part of the therefore statement. We are transferred from his kingdom, from the evil kingdom to the kingdom of his beloved Son, of Jesus' kingdom. And the result of that is true fruit that will last, good fruit that will last. So this is the idea that's pretty essential. So when you get to this question, and we brought this up before, how do you handle weakness? If you're operating in the flesh, you're like, I must be strong. I'm going to plow through no matter what it takes. Projects or people. And I will make this happen. I will overcome. Well, it doesn't last very long. Of course, as you know, that doesn't work. People get mad, and rightly so. But if you say, you know what? I can be weak. I can be vulnerable. I can be honest. I can finally just be myself and be direct, because the power that is driving me is the engine of the gospel. The power that is really pushing true justice in this world, true victory in this world, is the work that Jesus did on the cross. And so what that means is I can be weak, and so can others. And we can trust in God's strength, in God's protection, in God's power more than our own. So in the end of the day, you have to ask, who is going to win the victory? And if it has already been done, Christ, then you don't have to prove anything. You get to operate from the power of God. So take a moment and just ask yourself, how are you doing spiritually? From unhealthy to healthy. Basically, the healthy says you're plowing over people, plowing through projects, plowing through things. I'm sorry, the unhealthy says that. The healthy says, no, I'm using this plow. I'm operating from the gospel, and the engine is pushing God's plan. And what that means is I get to be real. I get to be vulnerable. I get to be open. I get to be compassionate. I really get to care for people. Now, God might still call me to protect people, but it's from a place of love. It's from a place of health. You know, when 8's know and trust and rest in his protection, look at all the things that happen there. Compassionate, caring, loving, vulnerable, power, protection, trustworthy, empathetic, deeply connected, seeking just for the oppressed. Listen, this is what you really want. Like, this is your true heart's desire. This is what you really want. Look what people are getting when you're plowing over them or over projects. When you don't put your trust in God, but in yourself. There's this fear of being betrayed. You're watching your back all the time. You're not vulnerable. You preemptively hit people before they come after you. You become angry, resentful, vengeful. It's everything you don't want to become. You disregard other people's boundaries, and you focus on winning at all costs with little regard of who gets hurt. Basically, you can go on a rampage. It's a huge difference what you're trusting in and what other people are experiencing. It's a huge difference. There's a power in you, but the power is really about you trusting in God's power and tapping into that and basically surrendering that voice that says, I must be strong. Of saying, no, that voice is going to lose the battle right now. And I'm going to open myself up. I'm going to quit driving so much. I'm going to rest in God. And I'm going to wait for his power to move, because I trust that his work is more significant than my own. That's the gospel. That's the gospel for 8. That it is the power of Christ that you get to operate from. That means there's nothing to prove and there's no one to impress. There's nothing to overcome that can't be overcome through the power of God working through Jesus and into your heart, through you, to others.